All right, guys, welcome back to Quick Concepts. Today we're going to be discussing adding like terms. And from Algebra 1, that was pretty easy. That was something like 4x plus 3 plus 6y plus x minus 2y. And so if, let's say plus 7. Here I would say, well, 4x plus x is 5x, 6y minus 2y is 4y, and 3 plus 7 is 10. So those were the good old days in Algebra 1. Now we're getting into much more complicated things. So we're going to start something small. I'm going to show you what I mean, and then we'll move into like bigger, more complicated problems. So these like terms have a whole lot to do with exponents and what's alike. Now in order to add these, or subtract, we have to see if these are all alike. Well, obviously they're in all different orders and everything. So these are the steps you're going to take to see if you can add these or subtract them. Number one, you're going to bring all variables to the top. So what does that mean? Well, that just means you're going to just change the exponent sign. So 2a negative 3x m to the negative 1. By bringing this m up, I've made it negative. Then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to bring up my a and bring up my m. Again, just bring them to the top. All you're doing is switching signs with the exponent. So this makes it become positive. The x becomes negative. Now, your second step is to put all variables in alphabetical order. Well, what's the point of that? Well, this is going to actually let us see what is alike. So here, I'm just going to switch the m and the x. Don't have to do anything to it. Just here I'm switching this and putting the x in the back. Now what I can do is I can say, all right, what of these are like? So now remember, when you're adding and subtracting like terms, you're just looking at the variables. And hopefully you can see these are exactly alike. A to the negative 3, m to the negative 1, and x. So those are like terms. So I have 2 of them here. And if I subtract 5 of them here, I have negative 3 of that same term. This guy does not match. He just has to come down. And so your final answer looks like this. And yes, it's messy. It's like, well, why can't I make it go smaller? Well, you can't. You just can't. We don't need to get a common denominator. This is it. So this is your final answer on that one. So let's do a couple that are a little more complicated, just to give us a little bit more practice on these adding of like terms, because you are going to be dealing with these a lot. So I'm going to do 2 more just to kind of sink this home. This is from Lesson 5 in your Saxon Algebra 2 3rd edition book, number 22 and 23, if you're wondering. Now what is happening here is you are not only bringing everything top, you're going to have to combine. So you have to combine your x's and y's. But again, step 1, I'm just going to bring everything to the top. Notice this comes to the top, so it changes signs. That comes to the top, that comes to the top, that comes to the top. They all changed signs as they came up. All right. So my next job, before I put them in alphabetical order, I actually need to combine them. In the last one we did, it was a kind of a simpler one. So this is going to have to involve our exponential rules. So if you've kind of forgotten how to do the exponents, I have a quick concept video on exponential rules, but I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So remember, when you are multiplying like variables, you're going to add the exponents. So this will be 2 plus 1, which is x cubed. This will be 1 plus 2, which is y cubed, minus 3. 5 plus negative 1 is 4. plus negative 1 is 3. And then I'll just bring down the y, nothing to combine him with. 7 minus 4 is x to the third and y to the negative 3. So now everything's in alphabetical order, so that worked out. Everything's combined. We can see what is alike. This is exactly like this. So think of this as 1 of this group minus 3 of the same group gives me negative 2 of that same group. And then I'm just going to bring this down. And of course, these you cannot combine at all because they are different. So your answer looks like this. Okay, and let's do number 23 of lesson 5 in your Saxon Algebra 2 book. This is just to kind of help you remember what in the world is going on with this stuff. So again, step number 1 is to bring everything to the top. Now, as you get better, you can combine steps, but really, if you just take your time, it will come. You just have to go slow. Noticing I changed the signs as they came to the top. My next step is to combine. Here, there's no a's to combine, but 4 plus negative 1 is x cubed. Here, this is essentially 1 plus 1 is 2a squared, and 2 minus 1 is just x. And then this one, I'm just going to put it in alphabetical order. Now, we can truly see that this one is just like this one. So I can say negative 3 of the little combined group a squared x cubed minus 5 of the little combined group a squared x cubed is going to be negative 8 a squared x cubed. And then I'm just going to bring this down because I cannot do anything with it. And then we'll just write out our final answer without that big old square around it. And there you go. And that is all for adding like terms.